We had some Sydney-sider clients that wanted to buy an investment property in Melbourne. They had a budget of $750,000 to spend, and they were looking for a house. They didn't want a townhouse, a unit, or anything like that. They wanted a 4-bedroom property for the money. The property that I'm showing you today is not the property we purchased. We ended up going with one on 30 Dalkeith Boulevard in Point Cook. But the property I'm bringing up today is an interesting one because it was a really popular listing. It had a lot of people at the open. It sold really quickly and got a reasonably good price for the place. It had a major defect that I discovered during the open for inspection, which most buyers kind of just glazed across. So I thought I'd talk about that today and just kind of demonstrate what a good buyer's agent can spot out when they're inspecting property. So the house itself, it was on a 300 square meter block of land. It was facing a park, which is a real big positive for me. It had a really good floor plan, almost a perfect floor plan. It was a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1 living area, 1 car spot. So I would have loved it if it had a second car spot and a second living area because of how many bedrooms it has. Positives about the property, it had quite a few, and this is probably why it was so popular. Essentially, the size of the floor plan was a real winner. It had good signs of maintenance and upkeep. Things that the owners had done would paint the property, they replaced the carpet, they had changed an oven over, and a brick veneer home. It had bricks on the second level, which is a pretty rare thing for any property. Normally, this is a sign of a pretty good quality build-up. It had bricks above all the windows as well. It had a good concrete roof that was still in good condition, and it also had an electrical switchboard upgrade. So just to keep the property compliant for rental laws, and it was a really well-kept place. So the gardens were in good condition. They didn't require any maintenance work. Things that go wrong with properties of this age typically are things like all the white goods tend to need replacing. I mean, they're at the 20-year mark. Things like the gas hot water service, or even electric hot water service, the ducted heating, that normally requires a lot of maintenance. Things like tap fittings, toilets, these are the kinds of things that go that just kind of reach the end of their life after in the range of about 10 to 15 to 20 years. You're looking at kind of replacing all these kinds of things at this age. So if you can find a property that kind of had a lot of these things replaced, it's definitely a win. Now, a couple of negatives. These weren't the deciding factors that pushed us away from this property. Negatives like when we flew a drone over the property, we could see that there was a box gutter on the left-hand side of the house that was holding water. Now, it was only a little bit of water, but that just creates quicker wear and tear on that box gutter, and it could create leaks that are quite problematic and expensive to fix. A couple of chipped roof tiles. I don't think they were chipped enough to cause any sort of flood damage, but it's just kind of maintenance that you need to be aware of when you're kind of looking at a property for the long term. A freshly painted house is always a little bit nerve-wracking for me because I know that there is the opportunity for someone to hide structural defects like cracks. So when someone does paint a property, I'm doing a really thorough inspection of the exterior, interior, door frames. So the real problem with this property that people seem to just glaze over and not notice was the 4th bedroom. Now, the 4th bedroom, you'll notice there was a double door walking into it, and that double door is an external door. It was lower than the rest of the property, so it was only a few centimeters, but it was lower. And you'll see on the drone footage that I'm showing you now, 3 different types of roof sheets on the property. That was really concerning. It worries me about the kind of tradesmen that put that room together. So this bedroom had all the signs of a potentially illegal extension, so hence a little bit more investigation was required. When I called the council, they basically told me that they had no requirement to keep records for the property beyond a certain amount of years. They also don't have any record of plans and permits being submitted for that 3rd room on the property. Why is this so bad? Well, a couple of different reasons. I once experienced a property like this in my rental business where we had a brand new townhouse. It was only about 6 months old, but the property had unsold. So we were actually the second owners of the property, or my clients were anyway, and they came to us to find tenants. We had a heavy rain once, and there was a minor flood damage to the property where the gutter was not built correctly. It was a box gutter just like this property, and it had under heavy rain, there was a flood that water washed back into the ceiling of one of the bedrooms and had caused damage to the plaster, the skirting boards, and also the carpet. So it was a considerable repair bill. I would have guessed around about the $7,000 to $10,000 mark. When we'd gone through insurance to repair the problem, we'd found out that the building, so the insurance company had gone to quite a extent to do a thorough inspection on this property. Found out that gutter was built incorrectly and not to building code. Insurance chose not to pay out the claim because there was a really small error in the way the property was built. So in my experience, that kind of rings alarm bells for any renovation that hasn't got proper plans and permits. You have to worry about every part of it. So the slab, the walls, how it manages water, where is the water going? Has it been calculated correctly to handle that amount of water under heavy rain? So this was really the reason why we chose to stay away from the property. The cost of a rebuild of something like this could be up to about $50,000 because you have a lot to remove there. You've got a concrete slab with potentially steel in it. Of course, it definitely has steel in it. So essentially you'd have to, the cost of removing all those materials and then doing plans and permits and using a registered builder to erect a 4th bedroom, you could easily spend $50,000. And this is quite the defect.